Hi everybody, welcome to the Teen Self-Love Movement. My name is Regina Sayles, and today's segment is called Write Your True Self. Your voice is powerful. Now maybe you don't believe that, and maybe you don't even know it yet, but it is. I'm one of those people who I knew at a pretty young age that I had something to say, but I didn't really know how I wanted to say it or what I was supposed to say. And the only reason that I've come to a place in my life where I'm able to say what I want to say and speak my truth is because I've taken the time to give myself sort of tools and ways to sort of check in with myself to continue to develop those things as I go through this crazy journey of life. So a little bit about me. I am a full-time singer-songwriter and an educator. I teach private guitar lessons and voice lessons in Northeast Pennsylvania where I live, and the rest of the time I'm out playing 100+ shows a year and writing songs and doing what I love. And I feel very fortunate to be able to do what I love. And part of the reason I think I get to do what I love is because I've taken the time to be honest with myself about where I am in life and how I can better myself. And one of those things that I constantly am reevaluating is my voice, my sense of self. And it's hard. Sometimes it can almost be a little bit scary to examine that about yourself. So, and especially as a teenager. So when I was a teenager thinking about all these parts of myself, it was one part of my life, was a facet of my life. And as I've gotten older, I've got to go back and sort of re-examine all those things. If somebody asked me who I was or who I am today, I would say I am a woman, I'm a daughter, I am a sister, I'm a lesbian, I'm biracial, I'm a musician, and I'm a songwriter. And that's just a few things on my list of things that make up who I am. So part of figuring out your voice is being able to identify some of those things about yourself and ask the question, who am I? You know, what do I want to do in this world? What do I think my purpose is? And sometimes it can be scary to ask yourself those questions, and sometimes you might not like the answer. But when you ask yourself, you have the courage to ask yourself those questions and really dig down inside to find the answers, you might be surprised. And it might change over time, because it certainly has in my life, for sure. So what I want to do today is give you some tools to sort of help you cultivate your life as a writer. Now maybe some of you are thinking, I want nothing to do with this, I don't like writing, and that's fine. And some of you are excited. That would have been me, like, oh yeah, tell me all the things you know about this. And I would have been like ready to take notes, because I was a big nerd. I still am a big nerd, and I love that about myself. So, but for those of you who are a little, I don't know, I don't like writing, this is a little bit different. I'm not going to tell you you have to write anything. Writing to find your true voice is writing because you're curious about yourself. I'm not your English teacher telling you to write a paper or to write poetry or anything like that. And a lot of times when people would tell me to write things, I didn't want to do it because they were telling me I had to. This is not like that. So I encourage you to keep an open mind and just give it a shot if you feel the inspiration. And if not, then maybe pass it on to somebody who you think might benefit from something like this. So as a writer, in this day and age, you guys as teenagers or maybe you're also an educator watching this or whatever the case may be, but in this generation, in this age that we live in, we have technology at our fingertips. I love technology. I have a master's degree in instructional design and technology, as a matter of fact. So I love technology and I love what it gives us access to. But I also think that there is an organic part of being a writer and finding your voice and seeing your own handwriting on a piece of paper that's also very powerful. Because if you go back and you look at something you wrote 3 years ago and you typed it on the computer or you entered something into your phone, you can read the words, but the words themselves are in print. They're, in text on a device, right? If you go back and you read something that you actually physically wrote 3 years ago, you're going to see how messy it was, what color ink you were writing in. Were you happy that day? Was your writing furious? Were you angry? Those types of things, it's a visual representation. So I'm going to encourage you when you do this to write with a pen and paper. If you so choose to do it on your device, that's totally fine, but I find value in writing with an actual pen and paper. So me especially, I've been very particular about my journal writing over the years. If you want to just get basic and get started, you can just use a regular composition book, which is totally acceptable. If you're like me and you want to discover all facets of yourself, I went through a phase where I liked these journals that had looked a little bit Renaissance-y and had a flap and, and whatnot. So I've got several of those. And I've got a couple, another one sort of like that. And this one has like older sort of dyed paper on the inside. So, and the pages are no lines on them. So you have to choose, do you like lines or do you not like lines? I prefer to write without lines personally because another thing, I don't feel constrained, no rules kind of thing. I've got a couple Misfit Journals here, and these are all journals that are actually used and been written in over the years. And then more recently, in the last several years, I've really gotten to love Moleskin Journals. And my dog got a hold of this one, so be careful with your writing. And the Moleskin Journals come in all kinds of different, they come in, sort of like flexi journals. These are the ones that I prefer actually because I can kind of bend them and stick them wherever. So that's your journal flavors, if you will. And I'm also very particular about the type of pen that I write with. I like gel pens, roller gel pens particularly. So these are all things I don't know, maybe if you write already and you're thinking to myself, oh, I shouldn't be so particular. Be as particular as you want. This is your writing. You don't have to show this to anyone, or you can show it to the whole world. That's the beauty of writing. It's totally up to you. And especially when you're in the phase of life where you're sort of discovering your voice and what that means to you. How you write and what you write with matters. So figure that out for yourself. Maybe you're just like, I don't really know if I want to do this yet, and you can go spend $1 and get a composition book, and that's great. So the part about this writing is, I mentioned before, is there's no rules. So you can write as if you're writing for an audience, or you can write as if you're just writing for yourself. And you can choose if anyone sees what you write. That's totally up to you. So now you're going to ask, what am I actually writing? Well, again, that's also up to you. Some days when I write, I just write, oh, today I did this and it was great, and it wasn't, and this was great about the day and this wasn't great about the day. And it's just very telling your story. And then other days I'm writing, very furious free writing about whatever I'm feeling that day. I had a day a few weeks ago where I woke up and I'd had a dream. And I started to think about when we have dreams, when we're asleep, that's a dream, right? And you wake up and you say, oh, I remember this dream. But also we have dreams as human beings. Like we dream to become an astronaut or a physicist or a dancer or a writer or whatever the case may be. So there's all these different ways that you could describe dreams. So I just started writing about a dream come true, a nightmare, a reoccurring dream, hope, something to cling to, an idea, a goal, something out of reach, realize, failed to reach, sleep, awake while asleep. So I just started to write all these single words and phrases around a dream. And that was what I wrote for the day. And what did I do with that? Well, it's in my journal right now, and I'm probably going to come back to that at some point and maybe say, maybe I should pull a song out of this. Now, for you, if you don't think that you want to, write professionally or whatever the case may be, that is just a way of expressing yourself and getting out what's rolling around in your head. You guys are all teenagers in school and you've got all kinds of things going on. And sometimes, I know when I was that age, I just felt like if I didn't write something or sometimes talk to a friend, I was going to explode. And there's so many, you guys have so much pressure coming in from all different areas and being online and social media and all these, things and sports and extracurricular things that you do in life. And sometimes you just need a way to get things out. So a free write that has no rules, again, I'm going to keep saying that, no rules, can just help you do that. And another tool that I like to use sometimes when I write like that is Wordle. That's WORDLE.net. And what is that? So I took that bit that I just read to you, and I put it into a Wordle, and it spits out this really beautiful map of words can't see that. Let's make that a little bit bigger. It looks like this. So it's got all these words in there that I wrote, and it just sort of gives you a cool way to sort of look at them. And I don't know, who knows what that inspires. When I look at things like this, it helps me pick song titles. So Wordle is such a really cool tool, and you can also just, type directly into it if you decide to not go the route of pen and paper, even though I think you should give it a try. Wordle is an awesome tool that you can use whenever you want to. So again, that's wordle.net, wordle.net. And that's just an example of a free write. There's another website that I like to visit. It's called thedailyom.com. And it has daily inspirations and just, things to think about in your everyday life. Sometimes I cut and paste the words out of that and stick it into a Wordle and see what that inspires. So there's no right or wrong way to do any of this. These are all just sort of inspirational ideas for you to just take it and run with and do what you will. So, and one other way that's a little bit more of a conventional way is they have books, writing prompt books. And so some days when I'm not feeling like I want to stay offline and stay off my computer, I dig into one of these books. This one happens to be called 642 Things to Write About. So most of the time what I do is I just end up on a page. And so this says, write about a vivid but troubled figure from literature as if he or she were your grandparent or great-grandparent. Look for the way their lives reveal the patterns of codependency, addiction, avoidance, or whatever else you're dealing with in your own family. So that's a great example. I have dealt with addiction in my family, and it's been really difficult at times, but because I have taken the time to write about it and sort of sift through that in my life and what that feels like to go through with a family member, it's been a really great tool for me to use. So when you're sitting with yourself and you're thinking about, who you are as a person, I said in the beginning, ask yourself those questions. Once you start to get a sense of who you are as a person and you start to write about those things, you'll be so surprised. Some days you'll think, I don't have anything to write about. And so then you just start writing about your day, and then all these other things start to come out. So that's why for some of you who may be a little bit like, I don't know if I want to do this, I think that there's a voice inside every person out there that is just waiting to be discovered. And again, that's up to you. And are some people meant to, be writers and whatnot? Not necessarily, but even if you're not trying to become a writer as a career, say like I am, I have still found so much value in just writing for myself. Writing poetry, writing things that nobody else is ever going to see. But it's in those moments of life when I've been going through struggles or really good times too. Don't always write about just the bad things. Write about the good things too, because it's really easy to just, get in there and sort of complain about life. And that's not a bad thing either, because you guys are living teenage lives and it's tough out there. But make sure you try to write about some things that are good and the things that make you happy as well. And you'll find that if you start to make it a little bit of a habit and that you do it somewhat frequently, you'll be amazed to go back and read some of the things. When I read my 6th grade self versus my 10th grade self versus my senior year self, and then so on I went through college, I was really discovering things about myself within my family, in my circle of friends, and it really helped me come to terms with who I am as a person. I grew up in a very predominantly white town, and my dad was from India, and my mom was white, German, Irish, Hungarian descent. So growing up in that family dynamic was really interesting and really cool sometimes, and somewhat challenging sometimes. But when I look back on things I even wrote about those times in my life, I think that stuff was really, really shaping me way back when to make me who I am now. So I hope that you have found something to inspire you in this video. I hope that you will get out there and give it a shot. Find a pen and paper and just write. Write because you can. Write because you have a heart. Write because you have a voice and you have something that desperately needs to be said. And it doesn't matter if it needs to be said to anybody else. Maybe you just need to say it to yourself. give yourself the permission to do that. I'm giving you permission to do it. And I hope that you will give yourself the permission to do it too. And you'll be surprised. I'm going to say it again. Your voice is powerful. You might not believe that in this moment, but it is. So trust your voice, write, and find yourself.